Hello everyone, my name is Shonda and welcome to my channel Under the Needle. So today I'm here with a product review. We're going to be talking about the Quilters Select Free Fuse. It's backwards. Let's see if I can. I always do that. Let's see if I can. There we go. Quilters Select Free Fuse. Okay, this is what we're talking about. So you get 2 ounces of powder. And so basically what this is that this is an alternative to basting, to pin basting. It's another way to baste. Okay. And it's a powder. It's a white powder. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. So it's a white powder. And basically the premise is, say you lay down your batting, and then you sprinkle it on the batting, and then you put your quilt top on top and you iron it, and it bonds. It provides a temporary bond, and you baste your quilt that way. So I wanted to give this a try. I had seen it a couple years ago and I wanted to try it, but it's pretty spendy. So this little container, this 2-ounce container, is on the Missouri Star website for $17.99, and that is where I got mine. Now, I had a quilt. I did a pattern review for Diamond Terrace, and I showed you guys the quilt top. So I used this to baste that quilt. So I did get the quilt finished. So I did want to show you guys the finished quilt. I used black thread to do my quilting on the top, so you really can't see it. It's pretty seamless. It really kind of disappears, which is what I like because I'm not that great at it. It's much more noticeable in the backing. I used this kind of purple blender type fabric for my backing. It was a 108 inch. It was called Etchings by Oasis Fabric Designs or something like that. I'm not sure. I don't remember where I got it. It's probably on fabric.com, and I probably saw some really inexpensive 108 backing and just snatched it up. It's not, you can tell it's not like standard quilt shop quality fabric, but I can't really tell that because 108s often don't drape the same as 44-inch fabric. I'm not sure what that is. I think they're just weaved differently, perhaps. I don't know. I'm not a fabric expert, or at least not that type. I don't know. So I did get the quilt done. I am pretty happy about it. I did just kind of do loops as my quilting because it's the only thing I can do confidently. I'm not that great at it. I tend to go too fast, but I don't care. This is for me. So onto this product. Now, I don't know if I use too much. There's really not a large learning curve. I did see various things online where someone said they could do 2 queen size quilts. Maybe you can. Maybe I used way too much. I don't know. But there's not a lot of instruction as far as how much to sprinkle. And it's also difficult to see because it's a white powder. And I'm putting it on a white piece of batting. And I used Quilter's Dream, one of the Quilter's Dream ones. So it wasn't even warm and natural. It wasn't like a natural looking. It was straight white batting. And I couldn't see this stuff. And I don't really know that it would show up any better on a natural color batting. I really don't. But it was hard to see. And so if you can't really see it, then it's kind of hard to know how much you've put on. So that was a problem. And then I found that my adherence wasn't so great. And then I had to press a lot. So you iron this stuff. So it recommends you use a Teflon sheet. I did not. Either a Teflon sheet or like an applique pressing sheet to protect your iron. I didn't do that. I was just super careful around the edges. But I found that in order to get it to stick, I had to do a lot of ironing. And I think the instructions say medium temperature. I did not use medium temperature because I found that as I was doing this, it just wasn't sticking. Like the little granules weren't melting or whatever they do with the iron. So I jacked up the heat, and I did this. So it took me an entire container to do the front and back of this quilt. And this quilt is about 60 by 72 or something like that ish. So I did the backing and the quilt top using this. And I kind of ran out and I had to use a little bit more. I did have a refill pack, so I had to open the refill pack and use that. So I mean, the good thing about it was that when I was done, my quilt top was extremely flat because I had ironed the crap out of it. But for what it's worth, I don't think that I would try this again or use this again. I exclusively spray based. Yes, there's overspray and I deal with it. But this stuff, it was everywhere, right? So even when I thought I had everything sealed nicely, as I was quilting, I would look at my quilt and it looks like quilt dandruff. Like, I don't even know if you can see, but there's little white specks all over the quilt. Now, had I been using a lighter fabric, maybe I wouldn't have noticed it so much. But I certainly noticed it on here. And then as I'm quilting, I look at the side of my table, my table, and you can see all of that just kind of building up, all those little granules on the side of my machine. And then today when I got done, I looked at the floor and there's all of this white powder on the floor. So, and I know because I can feel it on my wool pressing mat. So I don't know how much of this is on my pressing mat, and I don't want this on my pressing mat. So I had to use a lint roller and just go over my wool pressing mat like over and over to make sure I had everything picked up. So for the price, I don't think that I would do this again. I can get a large can of 505. It'll go on sale, and I can get a large can of 505 for less than this, I believe. Yeah, I normally wait for it to go on sale, and I find it for about $17, about the same price as this. And a quilt this size with that one can of 505 spray, I can probably do 3 quilts, whereas with this I only could do 1. And at best I could see maybe 2 at best. But I thought it was just more trouble than it was worth. You know, I'll try it again. Maybe if I have something smaller. So I think I'm going to put this away because I just don't want to be wrangling a large quilt while I'm experimenting with this stuff. So I think if I do something smaller, like a mini quilt or something like that, or if I have like a table runner or something like that I end up doing, or some kind of like small quilt as you go table runner, I might try to use this and kind of experiment with different amounts. I don't know, but as for right now, for big quilts, I do not recommend this. I mean, for the price and then the time, it took me a lot of time to, like, almost probably twice the time as spray basting. And I'm sure part of that is because it's the first time I've ever used it. But part of it was also just getting the fabric to adhere. I had great difficulty with that. I had to do, you know, a lot of iron. It says 4 seconds. So just imagine, you know, having to move your iron, hold 4 seconds, move it, hold 4 seconds, move it, hold 4 seconds, move it, hold 4 seconds. And like, it took a long time. And then when you're done with the quilt top, you flip it over and you still got to do the backing. I did the quilt top first because I don't like a hot iron on the batting. It's an 80-20 batting, and I don't like that hot iron. I'm always just afraid that that batting is going to melt or be compromised in some way if I put my hot iron directly on the and actually no, this wasn't even 80-20. I think this was, I don't think I kept the packaging. No, I think it was Dream Poly. I think it was the Dream. I think it was just the polyester batting, but it wasn't like that puffy polyester batting that you can find like when you go to like Joann's. It's not that puffy kind. It's not that. It's very flat. And you can kind of see. Like the quilt is it's very flat. It doesn't have that puffiness that you can have with that traditional, kind of old school polyester bindings. I mean batting. So I think it was all polyester, and I think I just I don't know, I just didn't want to put my iron on max heat directly on that either 100% poly or polyester blend, whatever it was. I didn't want to do that. So I did the top first. So I put the batting down and then put the top over it, and then I flipped the whole thing over, and then sprinkled the batting and put the backing on top, because I felt like that was a better way to go about it. So again, Quilters Select Free Fuse. It's an alternative to spray basting and pin basting. I guess at the end of the day, it may end up being cheaper than buying pre-packaged, not pre-fused. What's the word I'm looking for? The the batting you can buy that you can iron on, a fusible. Thank you, fusible batting. So at the end, it could end up being cheaper than fusible batting. It could potentially end up being cheaper than doing fusible batting, but especially if I use too much, it could be. But I'm not feeling this right now. So like I said, I've still got almost a whole 2 ounces. So I think I'm going to play with it if and when I do another smaller project. But for now, this stuff is going away, and I don't have any plans to use it again on anything large. So that's my opinion on that. Let me know what you guys think. If you've tried the Quilters Select Free Fuse before, let me know what you think about it. But for me, I just found it to be messy. At least with spray basting, I can, put a sheet down and protect most of this, and that'll capture most of the overspray, and then the sheet can just go in the washer. Whereas this, if you use too much, it doesn't. I'm assuming I use too much. I'm assuming. I don't really know. So if in fact you use too much, instead of having overspray, what's going to happen is when you pick up your quilt to go to quilt it, little bits of powder are going to be all over your floor, all over your sewing area, your sewing room, wherever that quilt is going to be little fine bits of powder. So now I'm going to have to, sweep in here and get that stuff up. So for me, right now, I'm sticking with my 505. I know how to use it. It's economical, and I can handle the overspray. And then once it's adhered, I can move the quilt around and not have to worry about any problems. At least, I have 1 day of overspray, whereas this I had, 4 days of powder all over the place. So that's my opinion on that. And again, here's my finished Diamond Terrace quilt. I do love this thing. Again, here's my backing. My binding is terrible. My binding is always terrible. Always. Because I sew too fast and I'm lazy and I don't pin or use clips. I have clips. Don't use the clips. Instead, I just kind of turn it under as I go, and invariably, I have issues. It also did not help that my built-in walking foot, the AccuFeed foot for my Janome machine that I use for my walking foot, that sucker broke, and I had to order a new one, and it's not going to be here until potentially Monday, and I did not want to wait to quilt this quilt, so I had to not quilt it, but I had to do the binding without a walking foot. Now I still have my old school walking foot, the white one with the metal. I still have that. I could have used it. I didn't feel like going to get it and I didn't feel like it. So I just put a regular foot on the machine and did my binding. It was a hot mess, but it is what it is. I still love it. This quilt is for me and no one else. So, with my shoddy quilting skills and all, I don't care. I love it. Can't wait to put this sucker in the wash and use it for something. I'm just going to use it just because. Like, I don't even need it. It's summertime. I got the AC on. I'm 45, so I'm usually warm. So, anywho, that's all I have to say about that. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe if you like what you see. If there's anything you want me to show you, just let me know. And I will see you next video.